I did not learn about money growing up through school or from my parents. I kind of just had to learn clumsily through YouTube, books, podcasts, and that took a matter of years. So what I'm about to tell you in a few minutes is everything that I've learned condensed. Take it from me, I went from negative net worth, having zero clue about money and being a total shopaholic, now being 25 with a 6-figure net worth. Number one, handle your emotions around money. Before you even touch a budget, a spreadsheet, anything like that, you actually have to identify the root cause of some of your money problems. And some of them could be from childhood. For example, some money beliefs that I don't think are conducive to wealth are believing that money is evil or wanting money is greedy or immoral. And I've personally experienced this as I started to earn more money as someone in their mid-20s. Particularly as a woman, I sort of felt guilty or shameful for doing that. Something that I had to unlearn in order to be able to attract more money, and I had to start seeing money as neutral. It's a tool that amplifies who you already are. Number two is making sure you're using the right accounts. Just get the basics right. A current account, if you're in the UK, that's just where your income comes into, your bills come out of, that's where you do your spending. Ensuring that you're not opting out of your workplace pension because you're basically saying no to free money. And then you want to be making sure that you don't just keep your cash in a zero interest bank account. You want to be making sure that you're keeping in a high yield savings account. If you're in the UK, you could use a stocks and shares ISA, which is a tax advantage account where you can deposit up to £20,000 every tax year. And any capital gains or dividends, like your profits from your investments, are completely tax free. Number three, when it comes to managing your money day to day, you don't need a fancy spreadsheet, although I do have one, shameless plug, but you can use the insights in your banking app. Most banks have them nowadays where they show you what you have spent in that month. Just being aware of what you spend and being conscious of that can actually shape your future decisions, because then you can decide what you prioritize and what you don't prioritize. Number four is building up an FU fund. When you think about FU fund, you typically think of massive numbers like 500k or a million, but I actually think an FU fund is your emergency fund. It's the amount of money that you need to have to be able to walk away from a situation that you're not happy with, or if your boiler breaks down, or for some unexpected emergency. This is usually 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, and it really safeguards you against lots of different situations. Number five is when you've paid off any consumer debt and you've started your emergency fund, you could then think about investing your money. Investing is one of the best ways for growing your wealth over the long term, because if you're investing in an index fund, it's completely passive, and historically it's had average returns of 10%. If you find yourself doing the budgeting, you don't have enough to invest, and you're just like, I am simply not making enough money, that budgeting is just not helpful, then you may be thinking about increasing your income. Personally, would see this as doing a side hustle, because sometimes a pay rise could be like 1 or 2 years in the making. It could start by selling your old things, reselling, babysitting, tutoring. There's so many different side hustles out there. You can increase your income at a nice your salary or potentially job hopping, but in this economy, increasing your income is essential, not optional. If I wanted to go from zero to financially literate, those are the exact 7 steps that I would follow. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and follow for my opinion. But Valentine's Day is such a scam. I feel like when I was younger, I was almost conditioned to put a lot of emphasis on it, but now I honestly couldn't care less. But if you are in a relationship, it still is a nice way to have a special day, but I just don't think you need to spend a lot of money to do that. So here are some frugal chic Valentine's Day ideas. Number one is a handwritten note over buying a card. I know cards aren't expensive, like £2 or £3, but still, I would much rather someone write me a long letter as opposed to just buying a card. It feels a lot more personalised and it takes a lot more effort. Number two is a home-cooked meal in. Something that I will actually never do is go out on Valentine's Day, because I feel like it's just horrendously busy, and also they bump the prices up loads. So on the actual day, I will be definitely having a home-cooked meal with candles. You can set the table nicely. Just because it's at home, you can still make it a romantic experience. Number three is experience gifting rather than material items. Now, there's nothing wrong with material items, but I feel like at this point as a society, we all just have too much stuff. And so I think a nicer thing to do is gift someone an experience. I personally love a massage or anything wellness related. Another idea is doing something on the day, like going to a museum, an exhibition, or something intellectual. Number four, if you are going to get someone a gift, I know this sounds very rogue, but actually getting them a more practical gift as opposed to just an aesthetic one. I feel like for Valentine's Day, you always think it has to be like chocolates, perfume, or anything like that, but I personally would much rather receive a gift that I will use daily. If you are frugal chic, you really care about the cost per use of an item, and even if you didn't buy it, you just want to feel like you really value that item. I'd say some good ideas are like silk pillowcases or a dressing gown. Number five is kind of a different idea, but gifting someone a subscription of a service that they can use, like whether it's the cinema, whether it's an art gallery, something where they can experience that for the whole year, I think is really nice. Those are some frugal chic Valentine's Day ideas. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and follow for more.
And you haven't bought a home yet and you feel like you're behind in life, let me de-influence you, because I'm a 25-year-old with a 6-figure net worth, and people always ask me, Mia, why haven't you bought a home yet? Because technically I could, as a flex or I made it moment, but right now it isn't the smartest financial move for me and my goals. Now obviously I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I a property expert. These are just my own personal opinions based on the data. Number one is liquidity.
Liquidity is the ease in which
You can get your money back from the asset that you've bought. Currently my money's in the stock market, which I would say is fairly liquid. It's not as liquid as cash, of course, but at any time I can technically sell my ETFs and get my money out. If that same money goes into a house deposit, I can't suddenly just sell a wall because I need the money. money. With the stock market, I can pull £10,000 out in case I needed it. I personally think in your 20s, it's about grinding, increasing your income and having flexibility with money, because in your 20s, you're going to try lots of different things, maybe live in a different country, etc. Number 2 is the real cost of owning. Now, people always like to put side by side, okay, if you did a mortgage on the same property that you're currently living in, you'd pay less monthly. Totally valid, and I've also done the maths and been like, yeah, it makes so much sense to start buying. People also love to say that renting is like throwing your money down the drain, but they forget about the extra costs of buying a home. Let's just say, in theory, you buy a 400k property with a 10% deposit, so 40k, and that means you borrowed 360k. Let's say you pay an interest rate of 5% over 25 years, so your mortgage payment is roughly £2,100 a month. You also need to budget for maintenance, which is usually 1% of the property value. That's £4,000 a year or £330 a month. Then add insurance, repairs, and random fixes. That's easily another £100 or £200 on average. Your real monthly cost is not just the £2,100. And yes, I am aware of the maths. I have a large deposit. I am also going to buy with a partner, which would mean that my monthly cost would go down significantly. But at the moment, I don't have to pay for any random fixes. Number 3 is
Trust and opportunity.
cost. On a £3,600 mortgage, 5% would be £18,000 a year that you're paying in interest alone. There is a difference between paying off the interest and building equity or ownership in that property. Whereas, say if I kept £50,000 in the stock market, returning an average of 7% annually, that could generally compound into double the amount over 10 years. So while the stock market isn't guaranteed, just like any investment, it's purely the opportunity cost of paying interest versus potentially having more investment gains. I know some people are going to think this is idiotic and just buying a home is a better investment. I think times have changed a lot, and I don't think it's as a savvy investment as it was for our parents, for example. That doesn't mean I don't want to buy a home. I would love to, but it's just not currently a massive priority for me. And if you don't currently feel like you can afford to buy a home, it shouldn't make you think that you're doing better than you think you are financially. Number 1, you pay yourself first. This just means putting your savings and investments aside first before anything else comes out, like rent or bills or your everyday spending. Almost half of Brits identify as savers, but only 28% of them admit to prioritizing saving and investing consistently. And let's be clear, this isn't about a certain amount. Even if you're setting aside £20 a month first before your rent and bills, that still counts. Number 2, you have more
than
£3,500 in your savings. Overall averages across the UK can kind of skew this at around 16,000, but let's be honest, that's not very realistic. Data actually shows that if you're between the ages of 25 and 34, the average is around 3,500. So if you're hitting this number or slightly above it, it shows that you're financially ahead. Number 3, you look at your bank balance on a regular basis. This doesn't mean every second, it doesn't have to mean every day, but you're able to look at it without fear or judgment. But just knowing exactly how much you have in there brings clarity. Actively monitoring and tracking your spending is linked to smart money management behaviors. Number 4, you live below your means. This doesn't mean depressive penny pinching, it simply just means spending less than you make, or having surplus amount of money to set aside for your savings and investments and your future. Spending less than you earn gives you optionality and means that you're not dipping into credit. Number 5, you've opened a stocks and shares ISA. In the UK, only 15% of us are using one, and it's honestly one of the best vehicles for growing wealth in the long term, because any capital gains or dividends you make inside this account are tax-free. But something that I wish more people realised is you can start with small amounts. You don't need thousands and thousands of pounds to start. Don't beat yourself up if you're not hitting every single one of these points or any at all. Just the fact that you're watching this video shows that you have the intent of improving your finances. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and